It is 9:22. Let's speak now to Oliver Gray, known as an energy guru and one-time professional tennis player. Good morning, Oliver.
Morning, Nikki. How are you?
Exceedingly well, and let me tell you that the first thing that Harriet Scott, my colleague, fellow presenter, doing the breakfast show this morning, asked was, energy guru as in crystals and energy of that type? And I said I would ask you, so I'll put that question to you first of all.
No, definitely not. I'm very much, very simple stuff. I'm not the sort of new age energy. No, definitely not.
So when you say energy guru, what does that mean?
Well, I think the key thing is energy comes from so many different places. I've just got a book that's coming out and I cover absolutely everything. So, for example, your sleep, your mind, nutrition, exercise. There's so many factors that can give you great energy, and there's so many factors that can lead to poor energy. So I cover everything that can really impact on the everyday person's energy levels effectively.
Now, it might sound obvious to people who understand their bodies and health and the fuel they put in and the energy they expend, but let's assume that people don't necessarily know the basics. Let's start with the bad things. What are the things you can do that prevent you having good energy?
I think the key thing is, first of all, coming up to January, is to really avoid all these sort of quick fix fads. Because they never last and they really don't work for you long term. The key that I sort of talk about is really about your daily and your weekly habits. So putting in place the really good habits that are great for your energy and dropping the habits that are not so good.
Well, what are the habits that are not so good?
So a habit not so good. I mean, one of the things which I call the 4 modern addictions, which are really, detrimental to people's energy, is too much sugar, too much caffeine, and excessive technology use is a real key one. I mean, a lot of people are spending so much time with technology. If you can just stay away from technology just an hour before bed, you'll see a massive improvement to your energy levels just through having a better night's sleep. So it's really simple changes.
So that's 3. Sugar, technology, caffeine. What's the 4th?
The 4th is what I call hyper-thinking. You find a lot of people these days are just non-stop thinking, and a lot of that is repetitive, and it's a big drain on our energy. So I know it may sound really silly, but if you can focus on doing one thing at a time and really be present in whatever you're doing, as opposed to sort of this non-stop thinking that's going on, you'll find a massive improvement into your energy levels as well.
So those are the bad things. Those are the things
some of the bad things
we should avoid or at least minimise in our lives.
Yes, definitely.
What are the good things we can do?
Well, one of my favourite ones is just this little routine you can get into where if you can avoid technology an hour before bed, you'll get a better night's sleep. If you can get to bed a little bit earlier, your sort of early to bed, early to rise sleep is much better quality sleep. And then that links in really well with getting some kind of movement in the morning. Now, it doesn't have to be the gym, but as long as you're getting some kind of movement, 20 minutes of movement in the morning really kickstarts your day. And 20 minutes is worth about an hour in the evening. So if you can find a way to exercise or some kind of movement in the morning, that's great. And then also the perfect kind of breakfast. So that little cycle can make such a difference to your energy. So avoid technology before bed, good night's sleep, early to bed, early to rise, bit of movement in the morning, and then a really good breakfast.
When you say a really good breakfast, different people have different systems. Yeah. So one thing is not good for all, or is it?
Yeah, there is a certain principle that is good for all. I mean, the one thing you want to steer clear of is fast-release carbohydrates, because they're only going to give you energy for, if you're lucky, about 45 minutes.
Is that would that include fruit?
Well, fruit is fine as long as you combine it with something that can slow it down a bit, and not all fruit is fast release. So most breakfast cereals are very fast release, so they're ones you really want to try and steer clear of. A lot of the sort of refined breakfast cereals. Porridge oats is a really good one, but if you can get some kind of seeds and nuts in the morning, that's a protein food that can slow down the release as well. So, fruit with some seeds or nuts, or some porridge oats with some seeds or nuts is a great high energy breakfast that will give you energy for maybe 3-4 hours, much better.
And in terms of people starting an exercise regime right now, is there any advice that you would give them? Because so often we see people hurl themselves into exercise programs. They then are injured. It takes away all their motivation and the cycle of good health is broken.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nikki, I think one of the things at the moment is New Year's resolutions. That they're 9 times out of 10 they don't work just because they're too unrealistic. And before I was doing what I do now, I used to manage health clubs, and I saw so many people that would go crazy in January and February, and then they'd stop by March. So whatever you pick, make sure it's really realistic for you. And I'm a big believer in picking 3 habits each month to change. And if one of them is going to be exercise, make sure it's realistic. One of the really simple tips that I sort of talk about is trying midweek, when you're working, is to only try and do really short workouts. So a 20-minute workout, especially in the morning, is even better, is much better. And then at the weekend, when you've got a bit more time, it's a bit more realistic to try and do a little bit longer. But I think a lot of people get really caught up in need to do my whole hour during the week, or even longer sometimes. So quick, really efficient 20-minute workouts during the week can work in with your schedule, and then at the weekend do a bit more. The golden rule with exercise is consistency. So it needs to be part of your weekly routine. And the key to consistency is you need to find exercise that you love, that fits your lifestyle, and everyone's so different with that.
But what if you absolutely loathe exercise? What would you suggest to people then? How do you motivate someone who is loathed to do anything physical?
Well, I think the key thing is that, exercise, it's this huge, there's a huge array of things that people can do. I would say, if you're in that place where you've got a bit of a mental block on it, start with something that's really easy, really simple. It might be getting off the train or the tube a couple of stops early and 3 mornings a week giving yourself a 20-minute walk into work. It may be as simple as that. And then you can build on that. But I think to begin with, do something that you feel is realistic. The average office worker's week is 85% of their week is sedentary, so they're not moving. So we've got to find things that we enjoy that just get us moving effectively. That's the key.
Oliver, thank you so much for your time and expertise this morning. Oliver Gray, energy guru, with his rules and advice. He didn't actually say rules. Maybe that's too strict, isn't it? His advice for ways that you can improve your life and maximise the energy you have.